The Senate has formally received the articles of impeachment against President Trump from the House. This means the next phase of President Trump's impeachment trial will soon take shape, and opening arguments will likely begin next week. For more on this, Aaron Blake joins me from Washington. He's a senior political reporter for The Fix at The Washington Post. Aaron, welcome. Thanks for being with us. So before the Senate received the impeachment articles, you wrote a piece called "The Illusion of Applying the Clinton Impeachment Trial Rules to Trump," and you are specifically addressing how witnesses are being handled. And you point out the GOP says, hey, if it was good enough for the Clinton trial to have senators decide on the question of witnesses after the proceedings have already begun, it works for President Trump's trial too. But what is the main problem with that comparison?
Well, we're really headed into an impeachment trial, the likes of which we haven't seen before. Back in the Clinton impeachment, this was a process that was exclusively handled by a Republican majority House, and then this trial was held in a Republican majority Senate. So they didn't really have a reason to decide on these rules beforehand. They could essentially change them or alter them or make decisions on the fly as the trial went on, because they had the majority. They had a 55 to 45 majority at that point. In this situation, we have a situation in which the Republicans, the party of the president, has a 53-47 majority. So basically, they can run the show as long as they keep their troops in order. And now we're going to be having a really close eye on 4 Republican senators who would need to be crossing over in order to get any new evidence and any new witnesses admitted into this trial.
And Aaron, yesterday, we finally learned which members of Congress will serve as impeachment managers. How would you compare them to the managers of Clinton's trial?
Well, the Democrats have gone with a slate of impeachment managers that's significantly more diverse than the Clinton team back in the 1990s. That was a team comprised only of white men, in fact. This is actually a smaller group of people, too. It's about half as big at 7 people. They wanted a mix, apparently, of people who have been involved in law enforcement, people who are experienced with impeachment, like Zoe Lofgren, who was actually involved in the Nixon impeachment as a Judiciary Committee staff member back in the 1970s. They have members of leadership, obviously, who have been involved in this, like the chairman and like the 5th ranking member, Hakeem Jeffries. They really have people from all parts of the party, both newcomers and longtime members of Congress, apparently hoping that each of them will provide something that maybe the others can't.
Right. And Aaron, of course, one of the major differences between President Trump's impeachment and Clinton's is that President Trump is running for re-election. And we've never had an impeached president run for re-election before. Could this, in and of itself, create any differences in the way the trial proceeds?
I think it's a big reason why both sides are going to be very dug in. I think it's also important to remember that regardless of what comes out of this trial, both sides recognize that the outcome here is pretty much predetermined, that this is going to be an acquittal. So from that point, it's really an opportunity to make a political case, maybe have some kind of an effect on the 2020 election. And I think that's really ultimately what this is going to be about, because the outcome is just not in doubt at all.
And Aaron, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says Trump's Senate trial could begin as soon as Tuesday. So what do you expect we could see happen as early as next week?
Well, if they're going to follow the Clinton trial rules and procedures, which I think that Mitch McConnell will want to stick to so that he can maintain that argument that basically this is being handled in exactly the same way, there will be opening statements for both sides that can last a couple days, in fact. Then there will be time for senators to write written questions to impeachment managers for each side. And then it's at that point where the members, the senators who are serving as jurors here, will have an opportunity to vote on whether there can be new evidence introduced or they're going to call new witnesses. Back in the Clinton impeachment, the Senate, Republican-controlled Senate, called 3 witnesses, including Monica Lewinsky, to be deposed. So there were new witnesses that were being introduced in that case. We have yet to see if Republican senators have an appetite for that in this case, and many of them are saying that it's too early to say that before they're actually going to get through the first 2 phases of the process.
All right, Aaron Blake of The Washington Post, thanks so much for sharing your reporting with us.
Thank you.